morning and happy Wednesday. We are ATI ProMedia powered by Advanced Trading. I'm Connor Bridgman. We've got Tommy Grisafi's traveling, Brady Huck's traveling, producer Joe is traveling. So right now it's just me and Rick. So I might pull a Tommy and I might just talk about whatever I want for the next 20 minutes. I don't know. We might let Tommy in. I see him there laughing in the background. So we've got a lot of news. The main focus is we finally got some rhetoric out of this administration about sustainable aviation fuel and if ethanol qualifies. Quick spoiler, it does, but we got a few hoops to jump through. We'll really break that down too. Other things we have a couple tractor sales, right? Some used equipment going for record prices. Can't wait to talk about that. Soy oil on record lows. Light volume day on corn market yesterday. Argentina, right? Monday, we talked about how they were protesting. Looks like the protesting has paused for now. Ports are open back up. These markets, right? Little quiet right now. We got corn down again. Corn's down a couple cents. Bean rallying slightly, and wheat, third day in a row, wheat's lower, roughly 5 cents lower. So, Rick, with that, if you don't want to pull him in, that's fine. But I see him there laughing. If you want to bring in Tommy Grisafi, he's traveling, but he couldn't stay away. How are we doing, Tommy?
I'm doing well. I'm up here in Chicago at beautiful Northwestern Hospital. I'm feeling good, but you got to get your regular doctor's visits and everything. So I know one thing: when they look in this year, they're going to see all the way through out to this one. So, uh, yeah, it's good to have you. I think you could have pulled off an easy half-hour solo. It is. Think about doing that on day one. That would have freaked you out, but that's not too scary now, is it?
30 minutes, that I'd really have to deep
That's a
dive. I
long
think
time.
15 minutes I could go, especially with this rhetoric on the Biden thing. I could talk about that. I might put everyone to sleep if we go through the whole 41 pages of that document, but I could fill some time if I needed to.
Let's talk
But
about that. I mean, our own very own Nathan Mangold said that I didn't get to read the email. He put out an email saying, "This is my spin on it," and then other people at
yeah,
Advanced Trading commented on it. Corn's down 3, right? So this is no blessing for the corn farmer. Like, hey,
no.
you could add the extra $50 an acre to your bottom line because of this. It's not like that, correct?
Not at all. How about I'll give you the facts, Tommy, and then I'll give you some of my opinions. And I would say most of the trade have very similar opinions. So the fact is that right now, corn-based ethanol and soybean stock, or however you want to say that, qualifies for sustainable aviation fuel. Right? That was the headline I first saw on Reuters, and so I was like, okay, right. The trade was very nervous leading up to this week that it was going to be negative, right? So we got that rah headline, but then we dived into it. And so here's some quick hits about what you need to do to qualify. First one, I guess I'll say before that, is the base credit, right? If you're a producer of sustainable aviation fuel, your base credit is going to be $1.25 a gallon, right? That sounds good. And you must demonstrate that it is 50% lower in emissions than petroleum jet fuel for it to qualify. Okay, now, if you are going to produce it on your farm, right, you have to qualify with climate-friendly growing techniques. So if you want corn to qualify for sustainable aviation fuel, it must be no-till, cover crops, and efficient fertilizer application. So Rick, if you want, pull up those slides. And so here's the documents if you want to qualify. Feel free to read those in your free time. But those, each page, right, this is 3 different pages of what you would have to do to qualify for sustainable aviation fuel. So
And you know what, Connor? Farmers love being told what to do. Why don't you call your daddy right now? I know your father, and just tell him, hey, this is really simple. You just do this, and that's going to go over really well, right?
yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that jumps out at me, and maybe this is the way we're going, and we're just going to be pulled that way, right? We've seen that before in agriculture, but it was a lot about giving the record keeping and the information you had to pass on to qualify for this. It was, you basically have to give them all their information. I'm seeing that locally, Tommy, right? We're having some, if you can qualify for deforestation free soybeans, right? Local processor will pay you, I think it's 30 cents extra a bushel, but you have to register every single acre with them to qualify. So I think giving over the information, right? I don't want to be negative, but it's a common theme we've heard where you really have to show all record keeping practices to
They call
qualify.
it Negative Nancy, and then there's Crazy Karen, and what's the guy version of that? Instead of Crazy Karen, you got like the male version of someone who's always complaining.
It
And
better, hopefully not Crazy Connor. Hopefully it's some other C.
Crazy Karen. But the truth is, the American farms and farmers are fiercely independent. And so, would you like to make a little bit more money, but you need to do this? Now, I'll tell you a story from a client. He's a great farmer, independent, stubborn, shocker, right? German, stubborn. But he started growing seed corn and he didn't like it his first few years because they tell him, like, you need to go plant today. You need to do this today. And he didn't like it. But as he's gotten used to it, he said he loves growing seed corn because it's so profitable. And yes, he didn't like being told, but then, it's been a blessing in his business. So maybe this is something like that, that sure, that's day one. These are the headlines, follow my rules or else. But no one has to do this, right? It's not like
No,
you
here,
have to do this.
no, you don't have to. And here's my another thing is, can if you wanted to, all that sounds great. Can you, right? So here, if anyone automatically, right, if no need to dive into the fertilizer practice, but if you're no-tilling, cover cropping, and you qualify, send us a message. I'd love to know who already has that triple threat. But here's the
That's
other thing.
that's interesting.
Go ahead. And here's more, the more I deep dive into it. So this applies to the blending credit. Okay, so the rhetoric we got applies for the 40B blending credit. Guess when that expires? 2024. So basically, this the regulations, the rhetoric we got is good for the next, right, 6-7 months. Okay, and then the next blending credit is the 45Z in 2025. Well, they'll have to release all new regulations pertaining to the 45Z. So we basically have for the 2024 crop year, right? Maybe if you got some 23 old crop that qualify, they'll take it. But really, it's basically a 7-month window, and we got to remember there's only one ethanol plant that can process sustainable aviation fuel. And guess what? They're not doing corn; they're taking Brazilian sugar cane, as we know. So right now, did we get? I hesitate to call this a win, but did we get rhetoric that says sustainable aviation fuel ethanol qualifies for it? Sure, but to me, it's a fancy way to kick down the road, Tommy. I think they were supposed to release this in March. They officially said we're not ready. Now they released it April 30th, and they said it in a fancy way. We're not ready again. That's my personal opinion, and that's how I understand it. Right. So we're gonna have I see very little corn and soybeans qualifying for this. I don't see it. In 2024, I don't see a big jump up. Right. This isn't a loss. Right. I don't want to be all negative, but to me, they kick the can down the road, and we're going to have this same conversation 6-7 months from now.
Connor, sometimes things take longer than you think. When I was a little kid in grade school, they said we're we're still using ounces and this and that, but in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be all metric. Well, here we are, 2024. I'm not in grade school anymore, and every farmer I know has two sets of tools, right? They're
Yeah,
like, "Go get me this or go get me that." I'm like, "And there's a difference, of course, yeah." Many a bult's been stripped by using the wrong tool, and so maybe we will get to this, but it's not all in day one. And I
yep,
would say farmers can do both the traditional American math and the whole, like how much of the world's using metric. So sometimes we have great ideas. It takes us a while to get there. And
yeah.
speaking of
Well
great
said.
ideas, later today, you said for premium you wanted to talk about, is it time to make sales? What's a sale look like as you get this crop planted next few weeks? And what are your ideas for that? Give people a little color on that.
I love breaking down when we're talking about making sales, right? We can do it a couple ways. You can go make a cash sale at the elevator. You can do an HTA, a hedge to arrive at that same processor elevator and let them carry the hedge. Or we can talk about doing a short futures, right? If you have a trading account. And so I love breaking down. It is not a one size fits all, right? Certain operations are going to benefit from each one. So I love walking through the math of that and just educating, right? Should I be considering short futures, or is there really no place for my operations? Should I stick to making cash sales or hedging it with my local co-op or processor. So
Yeah.
that's what I had in mind, Tommy.
Excellent. Yesterday, Rick, we had PJ on the show, and we broke down a little bit of this breaking news. PJ Quaid from RJ O'Brien. That's my picture, but PJ was on. He's just a wealth of knowledge. Interesting. PJ brought up the fact that there was a massive soybean oil position put on just either Sunday night or Monday, and he said, "Boy, the timing of that's pretty neat." That they put this
That's
huge position on soybean oil goes down. They used like a certain week options. Very interesting there. And then
yeah.
to your point on your monologue, soy oil post lowest level since 2021, multi-year lows in soybean oil. And I got to tell you, there was a time a year or two ago that no matter what price I sold soybean oil, it was instantly a loser. And same thing with canola. You probably don't watch canola, but
I
I
don't.
had canola on my screen, and canola and soybean oil have an extremely uh, similar correlation, and those two were not to be reckoned with. And folks, we have to identify when we're in a bull market. We need to, as a if you're a stock trader, if you're in a bull market, you want to buy dips. If we're in a bear market, you want to sell rips. And as far as the stock market, we may be in that sell rip category. But as far as grains, I think we have to go on this show or any show and say we are in a bear market or a sideways market. Are we going to new multi-year lows in grains? Well, we just did that during the March options expiration, but we need to be in a sell rally mode, not it's wet out, it's May 1st, I don't have anything planted, lift my hedges, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to be ready to take advantage of opportunities. Speaking of that, Rick, can you pull up my soil charts just to give some color on what Tommy just said? And so just looking at that, right, going back roughly a year ago, we can see soil, the sell-off even we saw since fall, when we saw great soybean prices and we trickled lower and then really broke lower the past couple weeks, right? Basically, the month of April has not been good for soil. Hard break past couple days, right? Like you said, whoever bought those puts, right? They had some inside access, right? Maybe they got a peek instead of the Duke Brothers orange juice. They saw what this Greek model was going to say and thought it'd be negative.
Yeah, very interesting. Sometimes I'm muting myself because it's getting loud around here at the hospital. But I hope they bring lunch to me pretty soon to my room. I
Gotcha.
don't like to skip a meal. Oh, am I still muted?
Well,
All right.
no,
Questions,
you're good,
comments?
Tommy. I can hear you.
Yes, sir. Okay, good. Good. Folks, if you're interested in signing up for
I,
ATI
I
ProMedia Premium, we'd love to have you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a fun one for you, right? I feel like I was a little negative with the Greek model. Actually, you know what? This isn't positive either. But 90, we
What
talk
the
a lot about new
I
equipment prices. New equipment. This is fascinating. How about
Oh,
that?
this is
Ignore
good.
everything I
Yeah.
just. This is
Oh, yes,
fascinating.
yes, yes. This
We
is
talk a
good.
lot about new equipment sales. Old equipment sales, Tommy. I saw this and I had to bring it up. A 92 40 55, only 22 hours. Basically, they drove it off the lot and parked it. Went for a record price of 275,000. This is a 32-year-old tractor and it just sold for 275. So the first thing I had to look up, what did it cost to buy this sucker new, right? What's the ROI on keeping tractors and just sitting on them? What Google told me, if I'm wrong, someone call me out, but Google told me you could buy a 4055 in 92 for roughly $37,000. So do the math on that one, how much that thing appreciated. Unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking up on the internet what's the male equivalent for uh, a Karen, and they said they said negative Pete. So all the Pete's out there, we apologize, but you got crazy Karen, you got negative Karen, you got negative Nancy, and you got the Pete. So we not a good day to be a Pete if you're out there. If you are a Pete and you're watching the show, give us a call. We'll send you a gift. But be positive, optimistic. I will
Yep.
tell you. I know I'm getting a lot of heck for it on the internet, but the tomorrow's Thursday. We're gonna have that drought monitor map come out, and it's gonna have less red and oranges on it. I am so sure of that. Now, if we get to the point where we start really getting too much water, I'm old enough to remember my first day in the pit at the Chicago Board of Trade was June 24th, 1993, and a week later the levees broke of the Mississippi River. We aren't in anything like that. The river's not even close to getting high for a few more days. We're going to crest in a few more days. So that river doesn't lie, Connor. Let me repeat for
Yeah.
those of you sitting in back. The Mississippi River doesn't lie. I know it's rained a lot and those waters are all going to make it to the Mississippi River, but that ground had an incredible amount of room to absorb. Like, think of it, our dear friend Roger Ellingson, he said, think of ground like a sponge. And that ground in that eastern part of the state of Iowa was empty, and the rains are coming gentle enough that that ground is having time to absorb that water. We'll keep an eye on the Mississippi River. Note to ourselves, let's post a little chart of that tomorrow. And
Yep.
if we were sharp, we could do it right now live. But I don't. I'm only working from a laptop. I'm like, where's my
I,
screens?
I think I could pull that one up, but I don't. It'd take me a little bit. I'll
No,
do you
that's
one.
fine.
You
Yes,
said
sir.
you're old enough to remember '93, right? My kids are almost old enough to remember. 2019 was the last one that always comes to mind with me when we talk late planning, right? If we talk drought, it's 2012. If we talk late planning, it's 2019. And just I always want to keep in mind, remember the price action for 2019, right? Taking advantage of opportunities was the right thing in 2019, and so
Hmm.
I'll keep that
I'll
in
tell you
mind.
another story about June
Yeah.
24th, 1993 was my first day in the corn pit. But June 24th, 2019, Don Wick flew to Chicago, and advanced trading had paid Mr. Wick and myself. Well, I get paid just to, do media, whatnot. But the Mr. Wick flew in and we did a boots on the ground crop tour. And then we picked up Ryan Fogel. We literally were watching people plant corn at the end of June and it made it and yielded it. Okay. We went Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Everyone had that crop that's going to be the worst crop ever. And in the end, I mean, maybe the USDA fudged the numbers a little bit. And that's where our big bull market came from in 21, 22, because the
Sure.
basis then said the bushels weren't there. So assuming the USDA lied a little or were behind multiple years on their numbers, I witnessed with Don Wick and Ryan Fogel farmers planting at the end of June corn, and they went way beyond their plant date, and then they're putting in beans. I have clients who have in Northwest Indiana who have planted beans before on July 4th, and they yielded 34 bushels. So to say here on May 1st we have a problem with this much moisture, you're not going to get me. You're not going to
Yeah.
get me bulled up
Well,
until this weekend when it's going to rain for 10 more days straight and be 58 degrees. Then I may get bulled up.
and don't you think, Tommy, when I give someone a business card, it says risk manager. So when I look at what's a risk to income profitability on an operation, right? If we have let's say that the rain does continue and then it stays dry, right? Everything maybe this is the year. Who knows, right? We got a long growing season, right? Odds are you're prepared for a drought, right? Crop insurance is going to kick in if we're light on sales, if we've got the upside open. We are ready for higher prices and for lower yields, right? We are ready for that profitability wise. Are we ready for the bigger yields and much lower prices? That's the question I always ask when we talk
Great,
about late planning
great
time.
point. Yeah. And we shouldn't be sad when the market's exploding higher. We should not be out of position. If the markets go low enough between now and when it allegedly gets hot, June 15th to July 15th, then it could become scary to just be naked short futures and not buy those upside calls, correct? So I have
Absolutely.
clients with 550, 525 futures, a lot of $5 futures. If all of a sudden we're 399 corn, we should almost think about going the other way and saying, how do we capture some of this profit? Unfortunately, it's not nearly enough farmers have that position on, whether it be the 550 put, the $5 put, the short futures. Really, still, even as we go lower, the risk is that we go much lower. But I've seen vicious. I could see what I'm trying to say, and we'll talk about it later. But I could see why someone's scared to sell 470 futures in their own account. Agreed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It comes with risk. And that's why I think good premium content is just to talk about it. But
Absolutely.
absolutely, Tommy. So,
Oh, hold on.
well,
We
we,
got a uh, Oh, Mr. Corey Ritter, longtime listener, first time texter from Blue Mountain, once famous Corey Corn, 300 bushel corn. They blew him up on social media for that. He said, tell Connor I would qualify with no-till cover crops and end stabilizer, but no market in my area. That is from Mr. Corey Ritter. Thanks for listening, Corey. So he would
good
qualify, but
deal.
he doesn't see the market. And that's not far from you. How far is he from you? 20
Oh, Blue
minutes?
Mound, 12 miles, right? Blue
Nice
Mound. Hey,
sledding hill there. You
Tell
go right
tell
off the Blue
Corey
Mountain.
tell Corey we used to kick the crap out of Blue. They co-opted. We used to kick the crap out of him in football every year. So
He
I'm well
will.
aware.
That's great. that we're going to sign up a lot of premium subscribers with that information.
Well, hey,
Corey
Tom,
corn.
looks like we got a lot of questions popping up. You
Oh
want to get into
God,
it?
let's get into it. I'm sorry. I'm yeah. Let's all right. Don't Grisafiat. Yeah, we're not allowed to swear on the show, so to say Grisafiat, that's not very nice. Um, what else do we have?
Luke,
Kick the
kick the
can down the
can
road
down.
again, not surprising from the current administration. Luke, baby, we missed you. We were looking for someone to ask questions, and we thought something was wrong with you. We're doing a wellness check, and Luke is doing fine. Very good. What else do we have? You get the next few. I'm going to take a coffee break.
Tony, yeah, correct. Not even close to 93. Absolutely agree. We're a long time moisture, precip, Mississippi River levels, and timing.
Big shout out to Tony Dunker. She told me that Abe Lincoln really was honest, and we appreciate that, Tony, knowing information like
Farm,
that.
Farmer Brad, our plant date is June 1st, but it's pretty common to see planters going middle of June in western Kansas. As long as we don't get bad early winter snows, seems fine to plant late. I don't know if you're talking corn, probably corn right here in Kansas. And so, yeah, right. Once we get past that crop insurance date, it's a very interesting conversation, right? Because prices typically are going higher. Do we go ahead, right? I remember this in 2019, right? Do we take the prevent plant? Do you do the math how much that is going to pay? Or are we ready to take advantage of higher prices and go ahead and risk it? And so, my area, most, I can't remember hardly any prevent plant. I'm probably wrong there. There was probably some, but most made the decision, right? We're going to get it planted.
But but when you do we'll get to this question. Keep that up there, Rick. When you do prevent plant, what I've learned from my friends, whether it be there's a group up in North Dakota. Shout out to Ag Mafia. You know, a field in North Dakota that goes PP is a massive thorn in your side for the next year because there's nothing in that field to take that moisture out. So if you go PP one year in a fringe acre, there's a good chance you can go PP the next year. Then I think if you don't have crop insurance for a few years, you're out. So even a field that's PP then needs a cover crop in many cases. Is that correct? And I am not an agronomist, so someone help me out on the comment board here. But you just don't leave it blank. Like that will be the biggest weed problem ever. I mean, you need to get something in that ground. And it's
Yeah.
silly we're even talking about this, but let's get started. Maybe we'll go back in 2 weeks and
that's,
be like, yeah. Uh,
that's exactly when I said the words prevent plant. I'm like, Connor, it is
no,
May
it
1st.
needs to be talked about, but I would call it delayed, not prevent,
There you go.
because we have 6 weeks more to plant corn. Wouldn't be ideal, but we have them. Go ahead.
Yep. So next one, Nathan. Big difference since last week following 2 inches of rain in southeast Iowa. All of our tiles are now running. The Des Moines River is up 8 inches coming out of Red Rock.
Is
Eight
that
inches.
inches or
Wow.
feet? Inches or feet? I think I would go with
Oh,
feet.
is that 8 feet? 8 inches was going to surprise me, Tommy. 8 feet
But
is.
yeah, he
I'm
can
not
give
smart
us a
enough to
call.
know.
We're
Yep.
messing our river history up. I know in Mississippi River they say it's 2 feet below flood level. That Mississippi River is going to truly tell you how much water was absorbed in that ground. I just want to say the people here are looking at me like I'm a freak, and maybe they're right. But we're live from
Tell
Northwestern Hospital in Chicago, and I'm not the patient. So, any other questions or comments from the peanut gallery?
can't fathom can't fathom the idea of trying to get rid of moisture. LOL, different worlds, right? Sorry, Farmer Brett. We talk about it a lot. I know you probably always cringe when Tommy and I bring up tile.
Yeah,
Connor
Connor.
reliving the glory. There weren't a whole lot of glory days, Brady, but
Oh, on the
yeah,
football. Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
we'll do it
Connor's that
premium.
guy at
We'll
the
talk
bar,
about high
40
school
years
football.
old, talking about his high school senior year.
We could have done it. We could have done it. We could have went to state.
Uh, it's like my favorite thing to tell people. Oh, speaking of doing it right here. Oh my God, B Huck in the house, 10,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much. We couldn't have done it without you. We hope some of you are real people. We do we do realize there's a couple robots clicking on us too. So we ask you with all sincerity, keep subscribing to the channel, tell people about the channel, forward our daily videos to your friends in agriculture. They're free. If premium something you think you're interested, give us a call. We can work that out. And anything else you want to add to the show before we go, Connor B? Great job as always.
Nope.
I
I
should
think
have
we.
just clicked off and let you do it solo. But who would you have to tease?
No one. No one. Exactly.
Man,
So
to
no, I have
150
not.
people watching today, and technology's changed. Let's talk about technology real quick. I'm sitting
Yep.
here in Chicago. I have a phone. It's on 5G. I have a AT&T hotspot 5G. I have a laptop. It's 3 years old, still doing well. I didn't have put any lights up or makeup or anything, but the world's changed. This device here is a film studio on the road, and I could have done it from my phone too, right? And media's changed, and I'm glad we were part of it. We're not quite ready to tell people about our special announcement, but we'll get there. And we couldn't do it. If we didn't have anyone watching the show, I don't know that I'd do it, right? All right, I see a screaming baby. If you guys stick around here a little bit, you hear this? She's her mom's dragging her. Hey, you remember when you drag the kids with one arm and you're looking like it's gonna come out of the socket?
Remember, Tommy, I did that like 9 hours ago.
You two over here. Oh, do you hear her? She's getting dragged all over. All right, we got to go, everyone. Have a great day. If you need something, give us a call, 1-855-737-FARM. Email us info@atipromedia.com. If you think premium is something you're interested in, you can catch Connor B. and I later this afternoon talking about making those, could be first sales for many people. Have a great day, Connor. Good job.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.